For centuries, stories of alchemists have captured the imagination. Men hunched over furnaces, pouring strange powders into bubbling flasks, obsessively chasing one goal, the power to turn lead into gold. It sounds like myth, or maybe madness. But what if the real secret of alchemy was never about metal at all? What if the true gold the alchemists sought was not something you could weigh in a scale or hide in a chest, but something you could only awaken inside yourself? Tonight, we uncover the alchemist's greatest secret. Not just the transmutation of metals, but the transformation of the soul. Because alchemy, at its heart, is not about greed or wealth. It is about the highest form of purification, turning suffering into wisdom, chaos into clarity, lead into light. The Emerald Tablet gives us the foundation. Separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, gently and with great ingenuity. These words may sound like instructions for a laboratory, but they're also instructions for the human spirit. The earth is the heavy, dense material part of us, our fears, our attachments, our illusions. The fire is the subtle spark of spirit, the higher awareness hidden within. The work of the alchemist is to separate them, not by rejecting the world, but by refining it, by lifting the subtle out of the heavy, by awakening the divine within the human. This is why alchemists spoke of purification. Just as raw metal had to be heated, purified, and refined before it could shine, so too does the human being need to be tested, refined, and purified through the fires of experience. The furnace of life itself is the alchemist's laboratory. Think about your own life. How often do struggles, failures, or losses feel like burning fire? Pain is heat, crisis is fire. But in those moments, something in us is being tested. Impurities rise to the surface, and if we endure with awareness, we come out transformed. That is the hidden alchemy at work. This is why many mystics said the real philosopher's stone was not an object. It was a state of consciousness, a perfected awareness that could turn any experience, even the darkest lead, into golden wisdom. And yet, the symbol of gold mattered deeply. To the alchemist, gold was incorruptible. It didn't tarnish, didn't rust, didn't decay. Gold was the image of perfection, spirit itself. The quest to turn lead into gold was a quest to make the human soul incorruptible, to lift it beyond fear, beyond ignorance, beyond death. But here's the hidden twist. Alchemists wrote their teachings in riddles, metaphors, and symbols precisely to protect this truth. On the surface, they seemed to be obsessed with metals, but beneath the surface, they were mapping a path of spiritual awakening. That is why the Emerald Tablet could speak about ascending to heaven and descending again to earth, describing not just a chemical process, but the journey of the soul, rising in consciousness, touching the divine, then returning to embody that light in the world. Now here's where things get practical. Alchemy wasn't meant to stay in books or dusty laboratories. It was a living practice. And in modern terms, it can be applied right now. For example, lead is heaviness, gold is clarity. Every time you take a moment of suffering, grief, failure, heartbreak, and instead of letting it harden you, you allow it to open you, to teach you, to make you wiser. That is alchemy. Every time you face chaos, and instead of being consumed by it, you find a pattern, a lesson, a higher order. That is alchemy. Every time you turn anger into compassion, fear into courage, confusion into wisdom, you are transmuting lead into gold. The Emerald Tablet hinted at this universal law. What is below is like that which is above. And just as metals can be refined by fire, so can souls. The outer mirrors the inner. And this is why the work of alchemy has never truly ended. Even today, people still chase it, though now they call it self-mastery, transformation, awakening. Different names, same path. Some modern seekers have taken the cryptic verses of the tablet and translated them into a usable guide. One such work is the Emerald Tablet Decoded, the secret of as above, so below. It's not a replacement, but a lantern, showing how to apply these ancient riddles in daily life. The link is in the first comment. Consider it a whisper from one traveler to another. Because in the end, alchemy is about more than secrets. It's about survival. It's about finding light in the darkest places. The path of purification is not easy. It requires discipline, awareness, courage. The alchemists knew this, which is why they disguised their teachings. Not to exclude, but to protect. To make sure only the sincere would find their way. So, what does this look like today? Imagine someone caught in cycles of failure. They try, they fall. They try, they fall again. Most would call this misfortune, but the alchemist would call it rhythm. A cycle. And in that cycle is the chance to learn resilience, to build strength, to rise wiser each time. That is gold hidden inside lead. Or imagine someone consumed by anger. They lash out, they hurt others, they live in fire. The alchemist's work would be to take that fire and refine it, not to destroy, but to transform. Anger becomes courage, fire becomes light. Or imagine someone who feels lost in chaos, unsure of who they are. The alchemist's task is to distill clarity, to strip away illusion, to refine the self until what remains is pure, true, golden. This is not abstract philosophy. This is a map of the inner life. The tablet isn't telling us how to change metals. It's telling us how to change ourselves. And perhaps this is the greatest treasure of all, because gold in the bank can be lost, stolen, or destroyed. But the gold of the spirit, the wisdom forged in fire, can never be taken. It becomes part of who you are. That is why seekers across centuries risked ridicule, persecution, even death, to keep this knowledge alive. They weren't chasing coins. They were chasing transformation. So the next time you hear the phrase turning lead into gold, remember, it's not about the metal, it's about you. It's about the possibility that every wound can become wisdom, every loss can become strength, every shadow can become light. This is the true alchemy, the alchemy of the soul, and the Emerald Tablet remains its eternal key. In our next video, we'll explore how the tablet influenced some of the greatest thinkers in history, from Newton to the Renaissance magicians, and how its echoes can still be found in science and philosophy today. If you found value in this journey, don't forget to subscribe to Occultus, because the path of hidden wisdom is only beginning, and there are more secrets to uncover together.